What are the real costs of retiring early? Obviously, there's got to be a trade-off, and absolutely there is. If we retire too early, we've got to figure out how to make up that gap with income over that time frame. If we retire too early, are we going to have something to fill it with that's meaningful? Hi, folks. I'm Devin Choules, founder and CEO of Choules Financial. On this week's Key to Yes, we're going to go over retiring early and making sure that we get it right. So while it sounds great to retire early, we want to make sure that we get it right. And there's several different ways. There's not only the financial, but there's also the meaningful life that comes along with it. All right, what are the trade-offs of retiring early? Hey, financially, one of the trade-offs is that we are going to have a reduced Social Security benefit. We may need to take that earlier unless we're going to use our assets. So we're going to get less money, but we could get it for a longer period of time. Those are some trade-offs there. We have a prolonged withdrawal period. Instead of it being potentially 20 years, it could be 30 years. So inside of there, what are the risks of a prolonged withdrawal period? That is where the real risk comes inside of retirement planning. When people talk about outliving their money, and that's their number one concern of retirees, is it's how long are we going to live? Because longevity is a risk multiplier. So we have to take that into account. The healthcare costs. If we retire prior to 65, prior to Medicare, what are we going to do to make sure that we're taken care of in those years? Whether we retire at 55, whether we retire at 60, 62, 63, 64, anytime before 65, what are we going to do to account for that? And our withdrawals, where we take our money from, how does that impact the potential health insurance that we need over that time frame? Lifestyle considerations. So while there's financial trade-offs, we have lifestyle considerations that we make sure that if we're just stopping working to stop working, we may hate our job, it happens to us. But inside of that, we want to make sure that our free time that we now have aligns with a purpose that makes us feel full of life. Okay? Because I truly believe that people don't want to live longer, they want to live more. And that comes from making sure that when we retire, whether that's at full retirement age, but today we're talking about retiring early, is that we have a purpose. We know what we're going to do, whether that is a hobby, whether that's golf, fly fishing, whether that's dancing, whether that's taking care of the kids, the grandkids, things of that nature. Giving yourself the purpose will help us actually live a more meaningful life. And when we live that more meaningful life, we're actually going to live longer because our days are going to be filled with things that make us feel alive. So we need to make sure that we balance enjoyment and sacrifice. If we retire too early and we don't have the finances to get us through, we may not be able to have those enjoyments, afford some of the things that we want, and it may actually cause more anxiety inside of our retirement than what it's worth. So overwhelmingly, the final thoughts on this is whether we want to retire early, whether we want to retire on time. There's two pieces here. First one is we want to make sure that we have a meaningful retirement and that we know that we're going to do. You know, it's a lot to give up your identity of working a job for 10, 20, 30, 40 years and then stopping and having all this extra free time. So we want to make sure that that's there. But we also want to make sure that we can financially afford to do so and that we don't just have a hope that it's going to happen, that we have a written retirement income plan to make sure that when we retire, it happens, that we have the highest probability of success. With that, folks, that's this week's Key to Yes. As always, make sure you like and subscribe down below, and I can't wait to see you next week. Thank you.